Concerning New Media Peeps, what's up? It's me, John D. Villarreal, the four-time national champion and the MMA expert. Pella Villarreal right there, joining by phone. We just saw this UFC fight night. Now, we saw in the main event, Dan Hardy go down again, tapping out to Chris Lytle. And here's the thing I want to talk about. I'm not going to make too big of a thing of it, but I think it bears some discussion right now. What is the state of, I guess, British MMA, or at least British MMA fighters, or UK MMA fighters in the UFC? I understand with some of the promotions over there that the British MMA scene has its own thing going on there, so that's fine. I can't really speak to that, but I'm just saying about some of the UK fighters, some of the British fighters, or let's broadly UK, that have come over to the UFC or have fought in the UFC. Where does it put that whole situation now? Is this no difference at all? But like with Bisping was kind of coming up for a long time, and then he ran into Dan Henderson and the H-bomb, and he got taken out on that. And he got beaten by Vanderlei Silva too. So, and then there was that, that, in my personal opinion, that sort of weird performance, if you will, against Oliveira last time. And now there's been talk about who's Bisping going to face next, and people are not so sure about him anymore, in my personal opinion. Now, first of all my personal opinion, check the disclaimers, everything like that. We're going to talk about all that and more, but first I got to tell you about this. Aero Caddy here. Check this out right here. Aero Golf has sponsored us for this month, for our new videos and the videos that we shot for them. Aero Golf is paying us for this sponsorship, and they also have given us this free Aero Caddy here, which is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. Cedar Joyner of Aero Golf is my cousin, so I want to tell you all that. Make sure you look at all the disclosures and all the disclaimers, including the description and at the end of this video. But here's the thing, like, we shot some videos with these guys, and you can check it out and check out our videos we did. We were actually on the golf course. I thought, in my personal opinion, I'm not a big golfer, but in my personal opinion, I thought this is pretty cool. It's 20 bucks. Look, if you're a golfer, you know someone that is, you might want to check into this. You might want to check it out right here. I think they look really nice. Could be a good stocking stuffer. Might be something that you might want for your golf game, so check that out. Okay, now, let's continue here. We love Aero Golf, but let's continue here. The deal is this. So Bisping, is sort of, I would say, we're not sure where he's going right now, right yet. I think there was some discussion before of Chael Sonnen facing him, some other people. We don't know what's going to happen with that. So that's kind of, let's say that's sort of a question mark, if you will, at this point in terms of like top level stuff like that. But still, a great fighter, and he's doing his thing. It's still in the mix. But now we have Dan Hardy, who had been on a tear for a while, but now he's on a 4 loss streak. So the question is this much ado about nothing, or is there now, where does this put British MMA fighters or UK MMA fighters, at least in regards to UFC? Is there any kind of question mark in this? Do we have new folks that are coming up? Is this just one of those things? Or do you think that the Brazilian and the USA fighters are reasserting some of their dominance? Where do you think this puts that whole scene? Paul, what are your thoughts on this right now? I mean, maybe it's not fair to put that kind of pressure on some of these top named fighters from the UK, but people might be talking about this.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there. If it's not a factual thing, maybe there's a great farm system, some guys that we really don't know about yet, but the perception is that perhaps the British MMA scene is kind of taking a hit. I mean, as you mentioned,
in our personal
Dan Hardy struggling tonight, and Bisping kind of plateaued a little bit there. Not sure exactly where he's at. So I know there's been questions before. I believe that the Wolf Slayer trains in England. Some people said, Rampage Jackson went there. Maybe he hasn't been quite as good since he went there. I'm not saying that one way or the other. I know that talk has been out there. So maybe there's going to be a re-examination of the British MMA system, some of the training camps, some of the training methods. Maybe they'll think they'll kind of have to diversify it. I know, like with Fedor Emelianenko, M1, obviously the Russian, one of the greatest ever in MMA, if not the greatest ever. People have said before, you know what, you need to go and train in Holland. You need to go and train in the United States. So maybe there's that kind of a dilemma possibly facing British MMA and some of the British MMA fighters.
It's interesting. I mean, we need to look at this, and that could just be it. Maybe it's just systems, it's the camps. You have such a depth here when you talk striking over there in Holland, Golden Glory, and some of those type of people, and that kind of the whole system there for kickboxing and the eliteness there. And then here, of course, when you've got, whether it's Greg Jackson, Cesar Gracie, America's Top Team, Javier Mendez, aka, there's so many great, Pat Miletich and all that. There's so many great camps here and other fighters here. There might just be sort of different things going on. Maybe it's training methods. Maybe it's a scarcity of other top level people to learn from and train with. Who knows what's going on out there? It's just a question. We may be wrong. This may not be fair. But we want to discuss it because I know a lot of our fans are going to want to talk about this now. What does this loss from Dan Hardy mean? Where does it put him? Where does it put the UK MMA scene? Is there any impact? Or is it all overblown? What do you think about that? Give me the comments below. Subscribe above. If you like this video, please repost it and put like on it. For Conservative Media, I am John D. Villarreal, the 4-time national champion and the MMA expert. That is Paul. We are Conservative Media, and we'll see you next time.